balancing history and balancing cultural heritage with the need to keep growing, I think it's possible as long as we're managing the trade-offs and really recognizing that there's not a free lunch and that it will be about balancing many different values. There are a number of different ways of managing that kind of growth. I think Paris has shown a model of how do you preserve a 19th century context while allowing growth. They have that incredibly dense business district, La Défense, and they've also been allowing housing growth by building a massive regional rail network that's able to shrink the commuting distances around the megacity. And so that's one way to engineer your way out of some of the trade-offs that come with mass preservation at the core. There's certainly a trade-off of disruption and change versus the benefits that comes in terms of further economic growth and then environmental sustainability of building around transit. So in Los Angeles, which does squeak over the line of being a megacity, there is a lot of resistance to changing the urban fabric around the billions of dollars of rail investment that has been made. But in order to ride a train, you have to be near a train. Things like scooters and other forms of personal mobility can extend that commute shed around each rail stop. But in general, the best way to use public transportation is to live near it. And that involves a large change in the built fabric of a number of neighborhoods where these investments are being made. And those investments should be made. I mean, that's important for decarbonizing the transportation sector in the future. So renewable electricity is its own challenge, but at least it's something we've made progress in, much more so than we have in renewable fuels for vehicles. And so if the future of Los Angeles is more public transport oriented, that will be a vector for further decarbonizing it as a megacity. The race between development and decarbonization is a difficult one, even if we were to grow in the most sustainable ways, like a transit-oriented urban way of life that's conserving the best farmland and conserving important natural habitats. And so it's already enough of a challenge, but if everyone wants to do that, even in the United States, the thing is, sometimes it's a trade-off, but that is a question of values and about how to live. There's a trade-off there if the American dream must be the American dream. I hope that it need not be the only way to live a good life, in global culture generally. There is an important question with respect to preservation of when does history begin? And what is worth preserving often is the subject of current politics. And as we discussed some in our session, at the national level, it's an important part of building a national myth, building a national story to unite a country around and facilitate collective action as a nation. But at the local level, it's also an important part of neighborhood identity. And so I think it is something that is intensely political. But when it comes to gateway cities, whether the megacities or just large cities, but that are hosts to waves of migration over time, that role is best served by constant change. Or there's a common saying: the only thing that's constant in New York is change. More true of our past than of our present, but still. The 40% of New Yorkers not only weren't born in the 5 boroughs, but were not born in the United States. And so serving not just the tenants that are there now, but ensuring that the dynamic system, the flow in and out, continues to be well served, that the city continues to act as an economic engine, it continues to be accessible and affordable. There's an irony that so long as there are the poorest among us who need opportunity, if New York were to become suddenly a very equal place, I would worry about whether or not the economic engine had broken down, or if we were now freezing out refugees who have always come to New York first as the first place to become Americans. And so, come the day when global poverty is gone, that would be wonderful. But until then, I want New York to have room for the poorest, and I'll be concerned if they're not around.